Welcome back to the Hannahcast YouTube channel, and today we're going to be talking about some more Guild nominations. That's right, today we are talking about the Art Directors Guild nominees and the Cinema Audio Society nominees. Now, what this means for the Oscars moving forward is that, well, with the Art Directors Guild Awards, this is going to help us shape our perspective in the production design race. We already have the Critics' Choice nominees, we have the BAFTA long list, and now we have the Art Directors Guild nominations. So let's just jump into that. So for contemporary film, the nominees are Beau is Afraid, John Wick Chapter 4, The Killer, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, and Saltburn. Considering Saltburn is nominated at Critics' Choice, I'm going to assume that it's going to win in this category. I don't think any of these are going to get nominated for the Oscar. Let's just move on to Best Period Film, which is the most correlative with the Oscar nominees. And we have Asteroid City, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Napoleon, and Oppenheimer. Napoleon is once again showing itself to be very, very strong in the below-the-line industry. Like, it's insane how much this thing is getting. Honestly, this all seems kind of normal for the, if I'm being honest, Asteroid City should be getting a nomination. It deserves a nomination at the Oscars. But, however, I just don't see that happening. I feel like the competition is just too tough, and Asteroid City is just not as well-liked of a movie as some of these other films. I will say, no zone of interest, but I feel like that is a little bit more understandable because the movie's not fully out yet. I mean, hell, it hasn't even come into my local theater yet. Whereas, All Quiet on the Western Front, it did get this category last year. It was nominated for a period film at the Art Directors Guild, but you also got to keep in mind, All Quiet on the Western Front was already on Netflix well before this point in award season. So it was visible. People were seeing All Quiet on the Western Front. But right now, the zone of interest, it's not really all that visible right now. However, that's not really excused from this missing is The Color Purple. The Color Purple has just been empty this award season. I don't think it got in anywhere at the Makeup and Hairstylists Guild. It did not make the Costume Designers Guild. It did not make the Period Film category. And it's been out for a while. It has been out for a while. So it's what is happening with The Color Purple? I'm starting to increasingly think this film is just not going to get nominated for the Oscar. Because, it practically has no precursor support. It has, I guess, Critics' Choice, but even they didn't nominate the film all that much. So, I don't really know what's going on here. I think, at least in production design, The Color Purple is absolutely dead. It's, if it can't get nominated for the Critics' Choice, if it can't get nominated for the BAFTA, because it's not long listed, and if it can't get nominated at the Art Directors Guild, I think it's dead in production design. Now, let's get to fantasy film, in which we have Barbie, the Creator, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Poor Things, and Wonka. This is where Wonka is finally showing up. It did not show up at Critics' Choice, but it did show up at BAFTA, and now it's here. I think the category is too stacked for a movie like Wonka to get in, especially since we are missing the zone of interest, a movie that is slowly building up its award season push. I'm glad to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 here. That deserves a nomination for production design. I really, really loved how imaginative the sets were in that film. However, this is going to be tough between Poor Things and Barbie. This is just gonna, they are competing in this category, and considering how significantly stronger Barbie is as a contender as a whole, I think it's worth entertaining that Barbie is just gonna beat Poor Things here. I think Poor Things will win the BAFTA. I think it's going to win the BAFTA, but I don't think it's going to win at the Art Directors Guild. I think my initial thought in that Poor Things was going to do internationally, it was going to do better internationally than Barbie, whereas Barbie's going to perform better in the US with Critics' Choice and the guilds and the Oscars. I feel like Barbie's going to do better than Poor Things, much like how, we've seen in previous years. Just last year, The Banshees of Inisherin performed better internationally, like with the Golden Globes and BAFTA, and Everything Everywhere All at Once performed better here in the United States with the Guild, Critics' Choice, and the Oscars. I think we're going to see that repeated. What do I think are going to be the Oscar nominees? Well, I still think The Zone of Interest is going to get in. I'm thinking we are going to see Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Barbie, Poor Things, The Zone of Interest. I think really those are your most likely nominees. If we could see any kind of threat, I would say Asteroid City, but at the same time, I don't know. Again, it's just not as well liked as these movies. The category is just really locked in right now. I just don't see really what could sneak its way in. Like I said, I think it's just going to be Barbie, Poor Things, Killers, Oppenheimer, Zone of Interest, and I don't really know if there's any room for any kind of big surprises. Again, Asteroid City would be the closest one, but that's not really doing anything. And now we have the Cinema Audio Society nominations. This will help us determine what will be the nominees for Best Sound at the Oscars. I do want to repeat the Sound Oscar shortlist because we have Barbie, The Creator, Ferrari, The Killer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and The Zone of Interest. And at the Cinema Audio Society, our nominees are Barbie, Ferrari, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer. Good God, Barbie is strong. Now, one thing that is also worth noting is that the Zone of Interest is once again not here. But again, I already discussed why I feel like it's not as visible right now as All Quiet on the Western Front was. The fact that Barbie got in at the Cinema Audio Society and not something like Napoleon or The Killer, because there is a chance Barbie could get in. The Cinema Audio Society is a pretty good precursor. They usually go 4 out of 5. Last year, they went 5 out of 5. Barbie, I feel like, is giving Everything Everywhere All at Once vibes, which, granted, it did not get nominated here, but Barbie still has a lot of the same kind of sound design that Everything Everywhere did. It has mostly kind of goofy sound effects, but it does have a musical number with I'm Just Ken. But is that going to be enough? Because the Zone of Interest, I would say, is a very, very strong contender. It's tough trying to figure out what will get snubbed. I want to say Barbie will get snubbed in favor of the Zone of Interest, but Barbie, again, is such a big contender in terms of nominations and might end up getting the most nominations out of any film this year, unless it's Oppenheimer or unless they actually manage to tie. Could Killers of the Flower Moon be the one that gets snubbed? Maybe. The Irishman got snubbed, but I don't know. Actually, did The Irishman get nominated for the BAFTA? No, The Irishman did not get nominated at the BAFTAs. I'm going to say the Cinema Audio Society nominations are going to be our nominees for Best Sound at the Oscars, except swap Barbie out with the Zone of Interest. But again, Barbie is a big, big contender. Like, will they actually go for it? I don't know, maybe. We do still have the Golden Reel Awards, so we will have to see how that works out. But now I want to pose the question off to you. What do you think of the nominees for the Art Directors Guild and the Cinema Audio Society nominations? What do you think this says about the production design and sound categories at the Oscars? Let me know in the comments below what you think, and be sure you hit that subscribe button, because if you don't, I'm gonna make a sound.